Happy Impact Wrestling on Access TV Day. It is, of course, Thursday, and it's time to talk about the brand formerly known as TNA Wrestling. And over the past few days, there have been multiple reports that have yet to be fully confirmed, but the main consensus is that apparently Don Callis is leaving his position as Executive Vice President of Impact Wrestling after over 3 years, just over 3 years, as a part of that company. As we've been able to see over the past few weeks, over the past few months on Impact Wrestling programming, his role has been getting smaller and smaller to the point that he's pretty much just the manager of the current AEW and Impact World Heavyweight Champion, Kenny Omega. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago on an episode of Impact, Scott D'Amore brought this up himself. He asked Don Callis what he wanted to be. He pretty much gave him an ultimatum. Choose. You want to be an Impact exec, you want to be the EVP along with me right here in this company, or do you want to be a part of Kenny Omega's family? You have to make a choice, which seems that they might be heading down that road in the storyline, and it seems like that'd be a good idea, just to give the fans some closure, because ever since he started in 2018, he first got himself into the commentary booth along with Josh Matthews. It wasn't a bad pairing at first, then he got a little bit tired, and it was never really revealed back then that he was an EVP of the company. It was just something that everybody knew, because most Impact Wrestling viewers are diehards who follow the wrestling websites. They follow the wrestling news, and they know who Don Callis is and what he means, what he meant to Impact Wrestling at that time. There are also been reports that he's pretty much scaled back on his input on creative for months now. He's been scaling back on his responsibilities as an Impact exec, and that might be just because his contract with Impact Wrestling might be coming up pretty damn soon. But other than that, these are just reports. These are just sources telling wrestling news websites that Scott D'Amore has pretty much run things from the get-go. But again, both of them were named co-EVPs, co-executive vice presidents, and it cannot be understated that they have brought something to the company, something to Impact Wrestling that it was lacking over its 16, 18, almost 19 years now of existence, and that is stability in the back office. For every 3, 4, 5-star matches that they had on an Impact Wrestling episode, on an Impact Wrestling pay-per-view, for every single one, they had 1, 2, or 3 backstage drama issues. They had payment issues. If you recall, back in 2016, right before Anthem scooped up and saved the company, there was even rumors that Impact Wrestling could not run their biggest pay-per-view event of the year, Bound for Glory, and that it was about to shut down. That was all the way back in 2016. We're in the middle of 2021, and the company is stable. It's providing awesome content for Access TV, and for lack of a larger margin, it's growing. It's finally being run as an actual company, and it's actually being held accountable for its issues, for its success over the past 3 years. And yes, like any other company, they haven't gone without their backstage issues, controversy surrounding Austin Aries, controversy surrounding Alberto Del Rio back a few years back. But other than that, Don Callis and Scott D'Amore's leadership, I feel like it's been really a turntable for what Impact Wrestling has become right now and can build towards in the future. First of all, they got out of that lousy venue in Universal Studios called the Impact Zone, which served its purpose back in 2004, 2005 with Fox Sports Net to cut costs. But if you really want to grow, you got to start touring. And that's what Scott D'Amore and Don Callis did for Impact Wrestling. They took the company touring, and they booked small venues that made it feel like a full house, that gave that atmosphere that fans wanted to be a part of the Impact Wrestling experience. So for that, Don Callis, Scott D'Amore, as an Impact Wrestling fan, don't really want to speak for all of them out there, but I can pretty much assure you that they agree that you, along with Scott, have brought something to Impact Wrestling that had been missing for years and years to come. Not only that, over the past year, he's facilitated relationships with AEW, with New Japan Pro Wrestling, with independent companies. Impact Wrestling used to be very much ran like a smaller WWE. Just in the vein of, well, we're not as big as WWE, but we're the second biggest. So if you want to work with us, you got to do it on our terms. You got to do it on our rules. That's changed. That changed Scott D'Amore and Don Callis. Their working relationships with a lot of promoters have improved. And finally, one thing that I want to close right here, right now, is with Don Callis leaving and essentially just becoming an on-air talent for Kenny Omega right now, that leaves Scott D'Amore at the head of the company. What do wrestling fans keep saying? What's the main point of argument that people use for the success of the WWE in the Attitude Era? For the revolutionary content that ECW provided back in that same era, during the Monday Night Wars. What's the argument that they use against WCW as to why they lost and why they went out of business? Too many people, too many cooks in the kitchen. While the WWF had Vince McMahon, one head. ECW had Paul Heyman, Paulie Dangerously, one head. WCW had, yes, Eric Bischoff at times. Got removed. They brought in other different types of presidents that did not know what wrestling was, and TNA's always had this. Even though the buck stopped with Dixie Carter, you had Hulk Hogan, you had Vince Russo, you had Jeff Jarrett, you didn't really know who was in charge, but now, going forward, we do, and that is Scott D'Amore. And all I can say is, Don Callis, as an Impact Wrestling fan, thank you for your service, thank you for everything that you did for Impact Wrestling, and best of luck in your future endeavors, which it seems like he might go to All Elite Wrestling full time. But again, that's weeks, maybe months down the road. So with that said, what do you think about Don Callis leaving as EVP of Impact Wrestling? Did he do a great job? Did he do a good job? Could he have done better? Leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions on the comment section below. I've been Alexis Carrillo. Tune in later on tonight to Access TV to catch up with Impact Wrestling on the road to Against All Odds. Moose and Kenny Omega are building up to a very high-profile match with high stakes for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship. If I were you, I would not miss that. So with that said, have a great rest of your Thursday night, and see you next time.